Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Australian Vintage Computer Collector Zoom Catch-Up for January 2023. Before I begin, I'd like to point out that this is being recorded so others can view later. I do apologize. I have not uploaded any in recent time, but there will be a big bulk upload coming very shortly. I'd like to welcome the newcomer to this chat first and ask them to introduce themselves before we catch up with everyone. So welcome, Aaron. Aaron, would you mind telling us about yourself and what you collect and what you do?
I'm Aaron. I'm 25 and I live in Campbelltown area. I've been playing around computers probably since I've been like 2 or 3 years old, before I could probably even walk, to be honest. First computer would have been Windows 98 era. My collection at the moment basically ranges from a socket 7 Pentium 166 through to my new computer, which is a 10700K 2080 Ti. I basically collect anything from mostly from basically late DOS through to newer computer games.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Oh, very good. Is there any particular computer in your collection that you consider the best?
It's hard to say really what you consider best per se, because I mean they're all good at different things. I have recently picked up a computer from Chris the other weekend, the Pentium 3 slot 1 and the Voodoo 3 in it. So I've been playing around a bit with that. I've collected a couple of people's old collections I'm getting rid of on eBay. So like bulk buying different games. So I might have duplicates or such come off the sale maybe. Other than that, I can't really think of much.
Yeah, cool. No worries. Oh, very good. Welcome. There might be a leaning towards slightly older stuff, but that's certainly in our wheelhouse. It's funny to think that Pentium 3 is 20 years old, because I can remember being pretty excited about my first Pentium 3 550 back in the day. Yeah, that's it's time goes on quickly. Now I can tell you I don't know anything about what the latest generation.
Perhaps about 13th gen of Intel.
Yeah, like I don't even know. Like when they talk about these i5, i7 things, I honestly couldn't tell you what the difference is and which is a new one and which is an old one. But yeah.
Aaron, have you gone back much further in time with PCs and sort of DOS and Windows 3.1 or that at all?
No, not really. I've earliest would be like late DOS games, like probably the original Need for Speed, probably one of the oldest ones.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of those late DOS games are absolutely fantastic. Like I was a huge fan. I'm not sure if Aaron would even be familiar with this, but the Ultima series of games, I really enjoyed them, although they required you to have as much memory as possible before you start. But and that was a challenge in its own right back in those days. Yeah. No, good stuff. Well, welcome, Aaron. Hopefully you will enjoy your first time here.
Thank you.
To what we've been doing. So prior to this chat, I mentioned that I've got my Mega 65, the Commodore 65 modern equivalent, and I thought I would support these new titles that are coming out. So there's quite a few new titles coming out. I've ordered 2. This is the first one that arrived. It's called Showdown, and I don't know if you can see in the corner, it says Mega 65. So this is a game that's released for this console. Looked great, and I bought it, and it comes with a disc and an SD card, which I will show you shortly. Look at this. It comes on original 3.5-inch discs and a little SD card, and it does not work. So I got it, I loaded it in, I thought, how sweet. You know, you just put the disc in, And for those who have a Mega 65, it defaults to not allowing you to use the disk drive. It defaults to using the internal SD card inside the machine. So after some bumbling, I got that going, and every single time it would just lock up. And I posted in a group, and they said, Anthony, put a battery in the clock, update the ROM, update the core, update the game, and then you'll be right. So I've updated the game, hasn't fixed it. Haven't put the battery in the clock yet because I can't see how that's relevant. And updating the ROM and the core. Oh my goodness.
You said update game, but when you buy the game and then you update it, what's the point of buying it?
This is the thing. It's like you think, okay, the reason why you'd buy this thing is the Commodore 64 didn't ever have a firmware update. You just bought it, you plugged it in, you loaded the thing, it would work. Not this. No, not this. You can't even buy the software to work. And then I have to update everything else. But I can tell you, it's the most convoluted process I've ever heard. I watched a couple of YouTube videos about how easy it is, and there's nothing easy about it. I don't use Discord. I figured out I have to find a robot in the Mega 65 group called Jenkins, and then you have to ask it to do some stuff, and you have to have an original Commodore 65 ROM. And I just thought, wow. Anyway, needless to say, the game I bought still doesn't work, and it's a complete waste of time.
Have you actually tried it on your actual Commodore 65?
No, but I guarantee you it probably won't work because I haven't updated its ROM or its Showdown version. But yes, look, so far I've got to say I'm pretty disappointed. I would have thought that for the money that I spent, that you could load a game that you buy out of its box. Yeah, pretty disappointing.
If you don't mind me asking, what did you pay for the game?
$30, 30 euros.
Okay.
So not too bad. I've got another one coming, and hopefully I have more success with it. What's interesting is it's comes with like this wooden thing, which has got a picture of the thing. It's got the disc. It comes with a poster, which I could hang up for the game, which I don't really want to do. And the instruction manual is quite terrible. That's it. You get a leather keychain for the game, which is kind of cool. Registration card. It's nice. It's a nice relic of the past. I think it's great. It's a shame that it doesn't work. Other than that, it would have been great.
Does your 65, your Mega 65 works? I assume it boots into basic. Yeah.
Yes. But whenever you load up any software, well, this particular title, it crashes. But all the other software I've got for it works. But when you post to the group, everyone says the problem is you haven't updated all these things, which I find quite incredulous. I would have thought that the stock factory unit should run, but anyway, bad experience. I'm hoping that it's just this software, but I'll find out when I get my next piece of software, which is due soon, and then I can see if I equally have a disappointing time. But so far I'm collecting some nice cardboard boxes that don't do very much. Other than that, I have got quite a, I know it's not quite vintage computing, but I think people could say a 16-bit processor in a console is a computer. But I briefly showed I've got two of these long play controllers by Cote Gamers for the Mattel Intellivision. So it's a 16-direction Intellivision compatible controller that can take overlays. And I've got bucket loads more games since I spoke to you last. Last time I mentioned that I got Beachhead for the Intellivision, which is amazing. I don't know if you ordered it yet, Pat, but anyone who played the Commodore 64 version of Beachhead, which is a fantastic game, would certainly appreciate this. And of course, they come complete with overlays, which I will now demonstrate being installed into the Mattel Intellivision controller. Check this out. Look at this. Fits perfectly into this controller. Even lines up with the buttons. Can't complain.
You know what I reckon I would like the most out of that, apart from just the orientation, whatever, is when you brought your Intellivision a couple of Keysboroughs ago,
Mhm.
Trying to play Mario. I mean, I'm not gifted at Mario, but trying to play Mario with the side buttons on the television control. I mean, that's
why I want it.
Yeah.
And you can. The only thing that is odd is if anyone has played the original Nintendo version of Super Mario Brothers, it's very easy, and it's actually the controls are opposite. So you just got to remember that run is the right button and jump is the left button, but it works great. And they've actually got opposite hand controllers too for sale, which I didn't even realize when I ordered it. So if you want one, I've just put it away. But
Okay.
if you want one with the disc on this side and the buttons on this side, that is also available. And they're not badly priced. And for anyone who wants to make a dual action controller, Pat, check this out. No, there is an interface port underneath this thing where you can wire it up and make it work. So do you know what I mean by the dual action controller?
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, the Intellivision has a bug where you can't press the buttons and use the disc at exactly the same time. So there's a workaround. They've got an interface in the top. And if you want to change any of these D-pads, you just unscrew here. Make sure you have this face down so the buttons don't fall all over the floor. That's a tip. And you can change the different D-pads. So goodbye. Other than that, I've continually I'm nearly finished with a book I was reading about the Calico chameleon. And yeah, that's a very interesting book. Other than that, that's all I've been doing. December and January has been full of New Year's and Christmas and all that sort of stuff. So that's all I have to say.
Hey, do you have any links to those controllers, Anthony?
Yes. So I will send you a link while Greg is talking about what he did.
I haven't really done that much myself, sort of. Yeah, Christmas and everything else, but I loaned one of my Amiga 500s to a friend, and I think it wants to come back home. We've had everything from the monitor starting to make clearly staticky sort of noises, like the what do you call it, the yoke or the high voltage that playback was playing up. We got that fixed, and then the keyboard started playing up, and then it's got a Pi Storm in it. The image started playing up without it. Put new HDFs in, it started behaving again. And then it started misbehaving for him. And yeah, he's reserved to the fact he thinks it just wants to come home. But other than that, it was faultless when it was here. It's just I at the moment have more Amigas than I have space for. So I said to him, he's a bit of a enthusiast for the old stuff. I said, do you want to borrow this complete with 1084 monitor? And yeah, it's just not playing nicely. And that, but other than that, what I've got and what limited time I've had is, been tinkering around with and updating and playing. But as you said, pretty much mostly Christmas, New Year's, and that, has occupied most of it. So a lot of it's been sitting there and just hasn't been touched for the last month.
Yeah. It's sad. It's very difficult to find the time to do this sort of stuff, Greg.
Yeah. We'll get back to it though.
Stuart, what have you been doing?
Even less, I think. School holidays, Christmas, New Year's.
This is going to be a quick catch-up tonight.
What's that?
This is going to be a quick catch-up.
Yeah. Looking for some things to buy that I want to get, but I haven't purchased anything. Got a couple of books, computer books that I was looking for. Done a little bit of code, but not really. Nothing physical that I've touched. Actually, cleaning the shed out. My wife had an eMac years ago. I booted that up. Hadn't been turned on in I think 15 years. There you go. It's worked. I plugged it in and nothing happened, and I'm like, okay, switch mode, something's wrong. Tried it again, left it, pressed the button, and then it come on. Everything booted up. So my wife was like, "Oh, that's cool," and I'm like, "Yeah, well, it's not staying in the garage." It's like, but nice machine, really. I forgot how good those CRTs are on them.
Nothing emitted a burning smell or started melting plastic or anything.
No, I'd probably probably too new to have reefers in it. I mean, they still use reefers today. You can buy them. We've bought some reefers for some new equipment at work, but I think just a reefer that's too old can go up. But yeah, that's nice machine. I don't know what they're worth these days, but
Not much.
not much. Yeah.
Bucks.
Would that be I don't even know. Is it Power PC? That one?
Yes.
Yeah.
G4,
Yes.
I think.
G4, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's unfortunately that's about it.
There is one thing I forgot to mention. My partner got me a Christmas present that I didn't expect. So I have had this in a tube for years, and we finally got it framed. I'm just going to share it and a picture of it. Hang on, it's this one here. Can you see it?
Yeah.
So that is an Atari International poster. It's massive, and that's on one of my walls in my computer study. So that's a pretty cool poster that not many people have, and she got it framed for me. So that's nice.
Very good.
That's it.
Cool.
Did she sneak it out and do it behind your back?
I had a little bit of a suspicion.
Oh, I was going to say, probably wouldn't know where to find it. Yeah.
Cool. William, tell us what you've been doing.
Well, like most people, not a great deal with the Christmas New Year stuff. Spent a bit of time mucking around with the 486 with Windows 2000 on it, and discovered that there's now someone that has revived the Windows update page for Windows 2000 and XP.
Wow.
For updates again, it's called legacyupdate.net.
Yeah, I found that. I was having a play with that.
So what do you do? Change your DNS so it finds it that way?
They have a small installer, which
Okay.
basically runs and just does the registry modifications. I think just to point it to their update server.
That's
as if
amazing that someone worked out how to do that, isn't it?
Which does actually seem to work rather well. Even the actual URL just comes up as legacyupdate.net/Windows update/v6 as it would on the Microsoft site all those years ago. And yeah, so I decided to stupidly to apply all the Windows updates to my 486 installation of Windows 2000, which took about 2 days.
Again, putting 2000 on a 486.
That's 2 days with an SSD for a hard drive as well.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, it literally just maxes out the CPU for about 12 hours searching for updates. Then the downloading updates takes forever for some reason in Windows 2000. There's something up with the network card in it. It's got a 3Com Etherlink 3 ISA network card in it, which works fine in Windows 98. So you get about the performance you'd expect from a 10 megabit card in Windows 98 on a 486. It does, I don't know, about a megabyte a second flat out if you're lucky, but usually about 500 or 600K a second off the network. In Windows 2000, it runs at about 1 megabit speed for some reason. It says it's linked at 10 megabit, but the throughput's always sub 100.
You haven't got an IRQ conflict going on?
No, I had a look at all the IRQs. Obviously, there's no DMA to enable on the adapter, so you can't do DMA with it. But
yeah,
it's just dead slow in Windows 2000. So downloading the updates, I think it was about 700 megabytes or something, and that took just leave it running for about 14 hours. While it downloaded, then it took it about another, 10, 12 hours to actually install the first round of updates. Relaunching the update after that. I then discovered that there are some updates you can't apply to a 486 due to the fact that they require Pentium architecture.
Why did you install Windows 2000 on a 486?
Just to see if it could be done.
Okay. Okay.
I was going to try Windows XP, but I discovered that you can't run Windows XP on a 486 because it requires Pentium instruction set. But Windows 2000 does run on a 4. Well, I wouldn't say it runs.
Is it a 4? Which is a 486 DX4100 at least?
DX4100 running at 120, but it does have 128 megabytes of RAM.
That'll help a little bit.
Well, that basically means that it doesn't get memory bottlenecked. It usually sits at about 80 mega RAM in use in Windows 2000 at the desktop. So
what are you using for a hard drive?
It actually has
Uh-huh.
these little things, which are
Ah,
which are little 8 gigabyte SATA SSDs that came out of. If you give me a second, they came out of. I find them. And are these little Cisco mini computers that I picked up.
okay. Are you then going to convert SATA to IDE, or what?
Yeah, it started to IDE on the inbuilt IDE adapter.
What's
Yeah.
the Cisco thing? What is the Cisco?
Cisco little mini computer. They're normally used, from what I can understand, for display kiosks in shopping centres and that sort of stuff. You know, when you walk up and hit the big touchscreen thing, there's
Huh.
probably something similar to this in the bottom of the box.
So is it a PC or it's not a thin client, is it?
No, it is actually PC. It has a Celeron.
Neat.
No, it's not a Celeron. It's an Atom processor in it. It's got a little single core Atom CPU, 2 gigabytes of DDR3 memory,
No hard disk.
and
Not
you
anymore.
can't even get used to
No 8 gig hard disk.
it.
Hey, that might have ran 2000 better.
And an 8 gig. And
Yes, I think it would have.
Yeah.
actually,
in your
you run Windows 2000 better.
in your
but-
486, you got a Visa controller in there, or what? Where's your IDE going to? Or is it
The
just a
IDE
16-bit controller? Or
it's an onboard, so it's PCI ISO. It doesn't have VLB, unfortunately.
Okay.
I would like one that had all three, but this particular SIS board doesn't. So I believe that the hard disk controller is PCI, but it is on the motherboard.
okay,
But it runs fast enough to be PCI. I don't think it's ISO based. It's
Yep.
Throughput's definitely a lot higher than what it would be on ISO based. So I think it's like a 33 megasecond max transfer speed, but not that you get anywhere near that with a
Mhm.
CPU. But yes, it runs quite well. But it does have it's got 2 8 gig drives in it, or two of these. It has an 80 gig IDE, which is just BIOS limited to 8 gigs. So I've just put it in as an 8 gig in the BIOS.
Mhm.
And then it has another 80 gig hard drive attached to the IDE controller on the sound card. It shows up in Windows 98 and Windows 2000 as a full size 80 gigabyte drive. So I can use it
Interesting.
with Windows 98. Because originally it didn't. Oh, it's just finished checking for updates. Are there actually the updates? Page loading.
So hang fire for a second. So the sound card IDE port, which is typically used for a CD-ROM,
And the CD-ROM is on the motherboard, is actually connected to the slave of the secondary controller on the motherboard.
so you've used the sound card to run a hard drive, which I've never heard anyone do before, and somehow it picks it up.
It just picked it up. Like you boot into Windows 98 and there is a hard disk. It's a ESS 688.
I know the one. Yeah, I know the one. Oh
Yep,
my
the
gosh.
IDE port just detects the hard drive in Windows 98. Like, because when I went into Windows 98, I could see I had 3 standard IDE controllers. Okay, so 2 of them are on the motherboard and the other one must be on the sound card, even though the jumper on the sound card is set to disable the IDE.
But how do you configure the drive? Like typically,
It-
the drives are invisible. It almost auto-detected or something.
Clearly, the drive, when it loaded the driver for the IDE controller, it then, as Windows boots, scans the IDE bus and goes, "Oh, there's a disk here," and just auto installs the disk. So it ignores the BIOS. And
It's interesting. It can understand the drive though, the
I
geometry and
know.
everything.
It's blown me. I've never even thought this was
funnily
possible.
enough, the 80 gigabyte hard drive that is on the master of the secondary IDE, which is configured in the BIOS as 8 gigabytes because of the BIOS limit on the 486. When you boot into Windows 98 and Windows 2000, it then shows your 8 gigabytes worth of partitions at the start of the drive and then shows the rest of the drive as available unpartitioned space.
Wow.
I'm not game to go and stick some partitions on there, seeing that the BIOS is set for 8 gigabytes. So I don't really want to risk tracking the data of the partition should something go wrong by utilizing the extra space on it. But
You should definitely have a go.
if I close that,
As soon as you've updated all the updates,
they're all done. All the updates I can
perfect. It's time to do some partitioning.
do. .NET
For
framework
sure.
is the only one you can't do. But yeah, if I can manage. Just give it a second. It is a 486. It's a bit slow. And
So tell me, while you're waiting, this Windows update, is this if you've got a machine that doesn't have updates on it because it's been offline for years, this is just a way of getting them.
a way of getting it up to date without having to just go to Microsoft's website and download every KB update that you can find and then see.
Oh, so because you can still download the KBs, but you can't press update and it doesn't find them anymore.
Going
Oh,
through
this
Windows.
does it all automatically.
Yeah,
Mm.
this just does it all automatically. So it would appear that what they've done is basically what they've done is they've set up a Windows Update W
WSUS, yeah.
server
Mhm.
and then just given it a GUI front end as well, and basically just mimic the old Microsoft website somehow.
Cool. How many viruses is it going to have after you've done all these updates?
Well, I don't know.
That was one of the things they said on the website, to at least patch it to a level to stop particular viruses and that. But of course, they stopped manufacturing updates after a period of time. But I think it works for 98 SE edition as well, because I'm pretty sure I ran it on that.
Yeah, I couldn't see anything for 98 on it. That's why I haven't bothered trying it. But I ended up using the unofficial Service Pack 3 Windows 98 updated to at least try and get Windows 98 somewhat updated, at least to a point where it was good enough.
So, what's your end game, William? Now that you've updated this piece of crap,
I'm not quite sure because there's really not much you can do with Windows 2000 on a 486 that's actually usable. I can play videos. My compressed full screen videos will play in Windows 2000, and actually don't jitter and everything like that. So I'm not quite sure how it. The management console just generated an error almost closed. Be fun. But yeah, so that's basically what I've been playing around with that. What else has happened in my world? Oh, I've got rid of the NBN.
what? Oh, you've got Starlink or something, have you? And what do you think?
It's a heck of a lot faster than my NBN was, and it certainly doesn't have the. I wouldn't say latency is an issue on the NBN because I was getting speed test pings of about 8 to 12 milliseconds on NBN via CFL cable, but the thing I found with the NBN was I had to disable IPv6 on my internal network because I was having all sorts of trouble with stuff just not loading with IPv6 enabled. Like you'd just go to a website and it'd just sit there, and then you'd have to hit the refresh button, then it'd load. And YouTube was doing similar sort of stuff. Turned off IPv6 and everything went normal.
Who was your ISP when you're on the NBN and you had that problem? Out of
Telstra.
curiosity. Sorry?
Telstra.
Yeah, Telstra. Certain points we found. I work for Department of Education, and we found loads of our clients. Some of them, you go into your IP config and you can see the DNS servers and that the Telstra are broadcasting out were IP version 6 only.
Yep.
And it's given us hell's own trouble.
Yeah, it's been an absolute nightmare. So turning that off did improve it a little bit, just going back to the straight IPv4. But again, still with the streaming service on the TV and stuff, you'd open up something, you'd sit there with the spinny wheel of death on the TV, back out of it, go back into it again, then it'll load and all that sort of stuff. Just niggly little problems like that. And I was talking to a mate of mine because I'm in Cranbourne North and he's down in Cranbourne West, and he's got fibre to the home. And he's not through Telstra, I think he's through Aussie Broadband or My Republic or something like that, through one of the other providers. And I was talking to him when I got the Starlink. I said, this is so much faster. You run a speed test at 220, 230 megabit download speeds. It's like fantastic. Expensive, but fantastic. And he goes, I'm just about over my internet. He goes, I'm on about the 4th provider, just trying to find something that's, performs reasonably well. I said, what sort of problems you have? And he goes, spinny wheel of death on the TV. And he's using obviously an Android TV. But yeah, spinny wheel of death, things not loading, just delays. Hit the go button on a website and it sits there and thinks about it for 2 or 3 seconds while it retries the DNS 5 times. But yeah, just problems like that. But since Starlink, everything's it's just instant.
What's it
just
called?
give me a brainwave to try something for my parents-in-law's device. I'd forgotten about it and then went, they signed up with Origin Energy and there's something similar happening with their TV.
Yeah, the initial cost for Starlink, they've got it on sale at the moment. So the equipment's half price at $450 Australian. And then monthly you're at $139 a month.
Yeah, so
Unlimited.
I saw an ad on YouTube or something. So
Yeah.
I'll put it out there. I had copper NBN, and I'm guessing it was some kind of ADSL equivalent. It was fine. I've never had any problem, no issues. I'm with Internode, no problems. I saw an ad for Internode offering 4G backup. I'm like, oh, I don't have 4G backup. I'd like to have 4G backup. So I rang them up and I said, can I have 4G backup? And they said, sure. We're sending you out a new modem for free. And you get $20 off a month for the first 6 months. I'm like, I'm saving money and I'm getting an upgrade.
Great.
Okay, I'll take it. Anyway, next thing you know, they said, you got to be at your house on the 20th of December. I'm like, oh, I got the day off. That's all right. They upgraded me to optic fiber. So I've got an optic fiber modem, I've got 4G backup, and I'm paying less. So I'm like $50 a month, and here I am. I don't have any spinny wheels, and everything's fine. So I don't know your experience with the spinny wheels. That's completely foreign to me. I got to say the NBN's great. I've got no issues.
I have to ring up Internode because I'm with Internode.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I'm
cool.
not there to get, oh, my mate's got this and he's, where's mine? But yeah, that's what did you have with Internode before? What was it?
I was on the unlimited download 50 megabit one.
But what was it? Fiber to the curb or something like that?
No, before I don't know. I had copper wire coming to my house and it
Yeah.
went to the DSL port of my modem. So I guess it was DSL.
That'd be
Yeah.
fiber to the node, probably, where they run it to the node outside your house, the fiber, and the last run is copper into the house.
So when I got this upgrade, I had to get into my ceiling and I ran optic fiber through my roof and down because the installer was too large to get into my roof cavity. And we got that ran, and yeah, I can't say I've seen any performance benefits.
So they didn't charge you for any hardware or anything for that?
No, it was completely free. But
They probably want to keep you with them, I guess,
I've been
because
with them for 19 years.
well, I've been with Internode for 23 years. I think I reckon their service is amazing. You ring up Internode 24/7. I reckon they're really good. I've never.
Yeah, they're great company.
Yeah.
But they're now just a subsidiary of IINet, which is a subsidiary of TB.
Yeah, sure, but I think their service is still good.
Yeah, it's great. And $50 a month for that, I'm happy with that. Sorry, but Starlink.
It is dear.
You got a cat?
No download cap. It's unlimited data.
No, a cat. Meow, a cat. Because it might sleep on it in the winter, because apparently they like sleeping on them, but you see all those pictures on the internet.
Yes, they are heated. Apparently.
Yeah.
What do you? So this is very not related to the topic, but it's still very interesting. Why is it hot? What's going on?
The actual satellite dish has a built-in heater so that it can melt snow off itself if it gets snow on it.
Because that's a problem that we have down here.
Yeah,
Cranbourne.
not going to heat up here. Yeah.
In Cranbourne.
You can turn it off in the settings, or you can put it on automatic so then it only turns on if it needs to. I think I have set mine to disable because I don't think it requires the heating unit in Cranbourne.
No.
The frosts usually aren't that bad that it's going to put enough ice on the front of it to block the signal. And I must admit the setup was really easy. Like, I mean, setting the thing up was idiot proof. You basically plug the cables into it and turn it on and open the app on your phone, and it goes, your Starlink is here. Go to your settings and connect to the Starlink router. So you do that, then the app comes back and says, what would you like to call your wireless network? You put a name in. What would you like the password to be on your wireless network? You put that in and it's done. The biggest drawback is the modem doesn't have an Ethernet port.
Huh?
That's an extra little piece of equipment you've got to buy for $60, being the hardwire Ethernet adapter.
So it forces you to use the Wi-Fi on the
Use the Wi-Fi unless you buy the adapter to then allow you to connect it to a switch, which I've got the adapter. Interestingly, the adapter plugs in line with the satellite dish on what appears to be the USB-C connector that goes between the satellite dish and the router. So I'm not quite sure whether it's just USB-C out to the satellite dish and that does power delivery and then the data comes back over USB-C, or whether it's some other form of communication between the two, but it's just like a mini USB-C type connector with O-rings and stuff built onto it. Well engineered. But yes, plugging it in, turn it on, give it a network name, give it a password, and then it says, please wait a few minutes while your Starlink is configured, and basically it reboots the router. It then advises you that your connection may be unstable for the next 15 minutes while it tracks satellites, and the little satellite dish does its little wavy, movie around thing looking at the sky. And then it locks onto a satellite and away you go.
Are you telling me that it moves?
It moves. It tilts and does this and rotates and
Wow, that's
hang on.
pretty neat.
Because I'm on a laptop and in my little back room, I can actually walk out to where the satellite dish is. It hasn't moved in the last few days. It's been pointed in this direction for about the last week. So it seems to have found a satellite that it's happy with, but it is. Where are we? There it is.
It's square.
It's square.
It's sort of like a beach hammock. It's like a beach hammock.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, neat. And it, wow. I expected it to be just a fixed position satellite and say,
No, it moves around, and I've got a video on my phone somewhere of when I first turned it on and plugged it in that I come out and I went, oh, it's moving.
How cool. I can see why it's plug and play then, because it really is. It caters for everybody.
It requires no technical skill other than the ability to use a screwdriver to screw the thing down so it doesn't blow away.
So you're downloading Windows updates on your 46 over satellite. So latest technology, internet connection.
And then the only other thing I've been playing around with is obviously this eMac, which now has Minecraft running on it.
Fantastic.
My overclocked eMac, which I managed to get Minecraft working on, which was sort of cool. Thank you to the man from the Action Retro YouTube channel in America or Canada or wherever he is, who put up a special modified version of the Minecraft launcher that will work on PowerPC and runs, I think, version 1.8 or something. So a fairly old version of Minecraft, but it's still sort of playable. Which, considering it's an eMac with a 32 meg graphics card and a 1.4 gigahertz processor, is not bad, considering that, you know, a modern or 5-year-old Core i5 will now struggle to play the latest version of Minecraft, which amazes me because they're just blocks. Like, I mean, how hard can it be to render blocks? But
yeah.
But yes, the latest versions do require quite a bit of horsepower, as I discovered when my niece wanted a computer built last year. I went, oh, this i3 will be fine. She only wants to play Minecraft. No, it's not.
Cool.
But
well,
yes,
you got a lot going on, William, with your Starlink, your Windows 2000, and your Minecraft,
and these little things.
Oh, and have you played with those things at all?
I have one of them set up monitoring my off-grid solar system, because it actually, surprisingly, it has all these little 3.5mm jacks on the side of it, and one of those is a serial port.
Neat.
So it has a ground, a TX, and an RX RS232 serial port. So that's basically connected to my to the serial interface on my old solar system, and it logs what the solar system.
Are you on PV output?
Am I running on PV at the moment? Yes.
No, are you on the site PV output?
No.
Okay. Well, I've got a solar system that I've been running for 13 years. So if you start logging your data and upload to PV output, my system can compete with you.
Mine's
Is it like a competition or something to how
much? Yeah. It is. So you can see how efficient or inefficient your solar system is, and mine's not.
Basically the controllers and the inverter, and then down there is the lithium-ion battery pack, or LiPo4 battery pack, which is only new. That's only been in for about 8 months or so now. That was replacing a rather large lead acid battery pack.
Wow. Okay. So you're off the grid, are you?
Not quite. The grid's still on. We still have a grid feeding system. At the moment, I haven't got around to running the 4 mil cable from the inverter to the fuse box yet, and putting the transfer switches in, because I took this all off my old house before I sold it, because the people buying it had the option of taking it with the off-grid solar system, and they decided that they didn't want the off-grid solar system. So it was my job to remove the system. So I basically got out there and pulled the whole lot down. So 3 kilowatts worth of solar panels, inverter, and then had to pull the 4 mil cable out, take all the transfer switches out of the fuse box. And yeah, so then when I got it here, I got all the solar panels up, got that all cabled, put in all the fuses, installed the battery pack, got it wired up to the point where I put a power point on the side of the inverter. And at the moment, the power point's still there, and it's just a few extension leads plugged in that are running various different items, like my little retro room out here and all my battery chargers for all my tools for work. And it runs around, and the extension cord goes in the laundry with the washing machine and the dryer plugged into that. And then there's another extension cord that runs around to the reverse cycle air conditioner, which does all the house heating and cooling. So we don't pay for heating or cooling. We don't pay to wash our washing. I don't pay to play on my vintage computers. But yes, eventually it'll go to the fuse box and the whole house will go off grid. But you know, it's sort of halfway there.
Cool. Very good.
More a case of the fact that the house has a tin roof, and I really don't want to get up in there and crawl through the roof pulling the cable through.
It's a lot of fun.
Been the problem. If it had tiles, it would have been done by now, because I just would have kicked tiles up along the edge to drag the cable through. But yes, I'm getting a bit not so maneuverable as it used to be trying to crawl through a roof cavity anymore.
Should have done it yesterday. Would have been a nice day
It
for
would
it.
have been nice yesterday.
Perfect. Perfect. Very good. Pat,
Hello.
how you doing?
Yeah, good. Just trying to think. I went to the Retro Computer Club, which has been renamed now the Melbourne House Computer Club last Sunday. So it's run by a guy who has the world's largest collection of video games, Joel someone or other. It's quite a structured event, so they'll have a speaker and they'll have a few games that they play. All the people there, probably about half of them are from the Amiga users group. A lot of that they do a bit of vintage computing. They do quite a bit of arcade stuff, quite a bit of console stuff for sure. I'd say, because my knowledge around sort of console games is not like mine's kind of sits around Gen 2, Gen 3. they're talking about PlayStation stuff at times. But anyway, I went to that. That was quite good. Dave Merton did another talk. So he previously did a talk on the PET and actually just like early Commodore stuff. Touched on the Kim Modern stuff. This time around, he did he did the Sinclair, like ZX80, 81 Spectrum, so on. Brought a bunch of stuff there. QL, just had a bit of a show and tell. So that was once again quite good. Dave does a good job of trying to get it as close to being a discussion as possible. So it's quite effective. I'm thinking about potentially doing a talk there. I have a few different ideas, but one of them that I'm thinking about, just I need to test the idea on whether it's too niche around Japanese computers, but I know it doesn't get a lot of mainstream coverage, but it might be too niche. So I don't know. I'll work it out.
I think the nicher the better with these sorts of things, because people want to learn about things they don't know about.
Yeah, that's what my instincts tell me. I just don't. I sometimes get thrown a little bit because just the mix of people and what they're interested in. I don't know whether, but you know, but both of Dave's talks, he's not actually turning the computers on or anything. He's just giving a talk and bringing equipment to sort of take a look at. And I could definitely do that. So anyway, I'm thinking about it. I just want to have a bit of a chat to the guys that run it, just to make sure that it's not too far out.
Whereabouts was this, Pat?
They run it at Wadham House, which is over in Glen, not Glen Iris, Glen. I'll tell you in a little bit, but it's quite a. They normally have the Amiga users group there. They'll have and then on different weeks they'll have this thing once a month. It's quite good. Like it's quite entertaining. The guy who runs it, he gets his son and his wife and whatever, and you know, some of his people involved in terms of putting together a few games where, for example, they'll have a game where they'll play some like versions of SID tunes, but missing, you know, one of the channels or something like that, and you've got to guess what the SID tune is, or they'll have a screenshot of a game. Let's say it's River Raid on the Atari, and they'll just kind of put pixels up at a time and just put more and more pixels until someone guesses it, that sort of stuff. So they've got a few different. It's generally kind of trivia type stuff, guess the game, that kind of stuff, which is. It's quite fun. They do make it very entertaining, and it's quite structured as well. But they also leave plenty of time to be able to socialise. So it's cool. I've gone twice now and enjoyed both of them quite thoroughly. Next bit, I was telling Dave when I saw him that I bought. So I'm getting pretty close to not actually buying stuff anymore because I've bought most of the stuff that I could ever want. And I definitely have too much stuff. Anyway, on that note, I saw a 20-inch Sun monitor on eBay in the US. And it was of a particular vintage that you never see these monitors, but it was a...
Excuses.
I don't know.
He nearly didn't buy it.
Hang on. So it's the vintage of when they first brought out Spark. So the Sun 4C kind of era. Now the monitors that they used to sell back then, normal 20-inch monitor like a CRT is pretty heavy, but these things have tons and tons and tons of like steel shielding inside and all this sort of stuff. Like they're really heavy. So anyway, the monitor comes up in the US. It's about, I don't know, $250. And I go, yeah, but that'll cost $1,000 to ship. And so then I see that eBay's got the international shipping thing. I go, now I'm very cautious about this because they're not known for handling things very well. But anyway, I go, I wonder how much the shipping is. So I put in my address rather than a US address. I put in my Australian address. And it was like $120 to ship it to Australia. And I was like, oh my God, that thing would weigh easy 100 pounds. And so I bought it. And so anyway, the guy, I can't remember where he was based, but he sends it. And it goes to eBay's global shipping center in Erlang, Kentucky, or wherever.
Yep, that's correct.
And then I'm going, okay. So far, so good. I'm waiting for something to go wrong. Anyway, it ships, and then about 3 or 4 days later, there's another update, and it says delivered. And I'm like, I haven't received it. And I look at the delivery, and it's gone back to Erlang, Kentucky. And I'm thinking, what the hell's going on? And so anyway, I raised the ticket with eBay, and which was the most annoying thing ever. We don't have to go through that. Everyone understands that. I eventually got into a chat with someone, and I said, I think I raised the ticket to say I haven't received my item, and you go through this questionnaire of, do you still want to receive it, or do you want a refund? And I was like, I still want to receive the item. You know, like I would really, if I can get it for that price, I'd be stoked. So I go to, so I put this in, and then about 2 days later, I get a refund, and I'm like, I don't want the refund. I want to find the item. I want to find out what's going on with the item, because there's no way I'd ever get that to Australia at that price. Anyway, I get in a chat with some guy in the support center, and he says, listen, they've refunded you because it hasn't turned up in the scheduled time that it would turn up. And I'm like, well, where is it though? Where's the item? Because I still want the item. And he said, oh, it could turn up. It could turn up, to you. And I'm like, doesn't sound right to me. But anyway, I went back and forth, and I was just trying to be polite, but just asking questions to get a feel for how I could get an update of what was going on. Anyway, I eventually worked out I wasn't going to find anything out. A couple more days later, and I get an email from eBay going, what's your satisfaction with our global shipping program? And I went, fail, 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 never buy anything from you again, fail, fail, fail. And then the same day, it turned up after I got a refund for it. So
Oh my goodness.
I got this 20-inch monitor shipped to me for free.
Did it
And
get damaged at all?
the seller got all his money, I got my money, and it turned up for free with me.
And no damage.
Well, so so it's very, very, very heavy, and the box is filled with packing peanuts. But given my previous, I don't know if you remember that video I posted ages ago about that monitor that got damaged, but what I did is I did open the box. I did feel down into each of the corners just to try and feel if there's any broken plastic or anything like that. I couldn't feel any breakages, but I haven't, to be honest, I haven't fully unpacked it yet. But it feels like it's probably right, but it's a bit unwieldy, and I'm not in a situation where I can take it out of the box and deal with all the packing peanuts and whatever else.
I reckon it'd be good if you took it off live right now.
Well, not this time. So anyway, that was my very weird eBay experience. But and so it turned out it was a good gamble in the end. But I wish they'd sent the survey maybe one day after that.
Oh, will you refund the shipping or the total amount?
Everything. I was refunded everything. The cost of the item and the shipping.
Very nice.
Yeah. So anyway, that was cool.
And you haven't opened it.
I kind of opened it, and I started, and then it was just all these freaking packing peanuts. It's a big box. It's a very unwieldy box. I couldn't deal with it all. I am going to, but I didn't have time to do it. By the way, that was only yesterday morning. So
fresh.
Yeah. I only just had it arrive. So anyway,
Saturday morning.
Yeah. It turned up on Saturday morning. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So not great.
What's the plug on the back? It's got that really weird DB25 with triple bloody coax things inside of or something.
It's a 13W3, yeah.
They're weird. I think I still have some of those cables. I was been selling a couple on eBay, the digital versions of them, 15 VGA to that 13W3.
Yeah, I had one of those years ago. I think it was a Sun monitor that I picked up somewhere cheap at an auction and thought, oh, this will be good for my PC. No.
Yeah, some of the Apple cards used to use them too back in the day. We had a whole, I think it was a 19 or a 20 odd inch monochrome one, Apple one. Yeah, sort of like that Sun one he's talking about.
Yeah,
the portrait and dual portrait display use the 13W3 connectors.
I know which Adrian that is. SGI use them as well, but the actual pinout's slightly different. But you can get cables you can adapt. But anyway, so that was an adventure there. I don't know if people saw. I don't know if this is of general interest, but there was. Let me just see if I can find the link for this. Did people see that Adrian Black episode on the floppy disk?
The 8-inch floppy disk
one.
Yeah, mate. That was. Let me just. So this episode here, he basically is this the Texelec guys prototyped a four port floppy controller, and Adrian goes through and he puts together a PC that can make any kind of disc. So it's got 40 track, essentially double density but high density options, but also 100 TPI, 5 1/4 discs. So you could make, if you're using those quad density PET 100 TPI discs, those sorts of things. You've just built this basically create a disc for any system out of this PC, which it was super cool. The one thing that's missing at the point is that the guy at Texelec, he hasn't actually put those controls into production yet, but he's intending to. But I thought that was a very cool project.
I think the some of the original IBM PC ones had 2, but then it had a DB37 or something on the back for external. I don't know if they supported 4 or that was just.
Yeah, there were some controllers back in the day that did support 4, but they were very uncommon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think this one's PC. Is it PC? Is it an ISOBUS one? I can't remember if it was PCI.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think it was an ISOBUS control. I'm pretty sure it was.
No, I saw that video and I wanted to buy it straight away, and I was like, "Oh, it's not available yet." The controller.
Yeah, I've got everything other than that. I actually do have parts to build a 4-port controller, not that one, but another project. But if he produces that controller soon, I'll just do that because I just don't have the time to.
Hey, Pat or Stuart, if you see this being released, can you please post to the group so we can all get one at the same time?
Yeah, because it could be one of those situations where they make them and then they don't make them anymore.
Yeah. I think the guy at Texelec will probably put them into, like, he's pretty good. I don't know if you've seen his store, but he builds all sorts of things, MCA cats for.
He does, but he sells out. So yeah, he sells out. So for example, if you want that PC Junior add-on board, whatever it's called, that comes in spates. So 1 minute there'll be 50 of them, and then they'll be gone, and you have to wait months for them. So if you see it, give us a heads up. Also, for anyone who wants a Pokey chip for the Atari 7800 or any of the consoles, the Hokey chip is available now. Just thought I'd point that out. The Hokey chip is the fake Pokey chip. They're available now. I've ordered 2, so if anybody needs one, I've got a spare coming.
While we're talking about nice things that people have seen on YouTube, did anyone that we know end up getting any of those Naboo systems out of Canada?
Too late. By the time I saw that, I wanted to get one, and I don't know if you guys have all been following it, but it's pretty cool how someone's made up the server and you can get access to stuff. So
I was this close to pulling the trigger on the eBay auction while there was still some up there. But at that point, I'd only seen Adrian Black's video, which basically tore it down.
Couldn't do anything with it. Yeah.
By the time I'd spotted someone else working on getting the things working, it was it was too late. But apparently, the bloke still has more of them. He hasn't sold them all.
Yeah, but the listings that were on, they were no longer available. So unless he hasn't got around to.
What I watched a video from one of the other guys who said that at the moment eBay has suspended his ability to sell them because he's sold so many he can't keep up with the shipping. So once he's caught up with shipping the backlog of units that he's sold, apparently there's going to be more listings going up.
The problem is if this guy watches any of the community videos, he might put his price up.
He's going to know not to sell them for $50 Canadian.
Yeah.
That's the other problem.
I got to say, I'm not super interested. It's yet another project that I haven't completed all my 97 other projects.
I like weird junk that doesn't really do anything.
I've got plenty of that.
Yeah.
I thought it was quite and amazing how quickly they got it up and running. Like it went from like all these units appearing and nothing works. You can't do anything with it because it requires its own, cable TV service to deliver it data. And within about, 3 or 4 days, can't think of the bloke's name. other Canadian bloke, had come up with a network adapter and was able to sort of start trying to send data back and forth between a PC and these little Nabu.
Well, apparently the guy, I think he has a business with 3D printers or something, but his father or someone wrote the code for it or something, and
And
so but he hasn't. He's sort of keeping it a bit to himself, but
and he's hooked up with another bloke who used to work for Nabu, which is where he's been getting all his software from.
What is amazing though is, what they were doing back then and what it could have been. Is what they're doing now to have it working. There are even some hidden things in there, not in the menu. You press some button and then Pac-Man comes up and stuff. Because I think the architecture of it's very similar to, I don't know, some other 8-bit.
It was similar. Might have been similar to an MSX or something.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah, because they were saying that they had ColecoVision stuff running on there.
Huh, cool.
And they got CPM running on it now as well. Which
I don't know if I need to run CPM on a Canadian network computer, but anyway.
But yeah,
Can someone try and put Windows 2000 on it? It might be about as fast as that 486, I reckon.
Except the bloody, I think there's the baud rate for the network interface was quite slow, so even your 1 megabit's going to kill it. It's I think it was running at 9600 baud or something.
Yeah, I can't remember now, but yeah, it's I just thought it was interesting that, like, but what I want to know is where the original bloke on eBay managed to find 1,000 of these things unopened, brand new in the box.
Yeah, they've been sitting in the warehouse. Well, that reminds me a while ago, and I don't think it was Computer Reset, but there was a few years back, people were buying in-box, never open, new in-box 5150s.
Yeah, I remember seeing that a few years
and I'm like, that's pretty, like amazing. But somebody sits on them. Maybe it was Computer Reset before anyone knew about them.
Yeah.
There's a dozen Falcon that came up about 3.5 years ago, I think it was.
What?
Yeah.
Dozen Atari Falcons.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they went for an absolute ton. I think they were about 5,000, I think, Australian each when they all unopened, so yeah.
Yeah,
I will be back in a minute because I'm going to go and get a refill on my coffee cup.
no worries. Pat, anything else?
Yeah, one other thing. I don't know. I don't know if people have seen this project. It's a little bit expensive, but it's a new Commodore board, but it's got some interesting features. Sports dual SIDs, multi-ROM boot, ESD protection around the joystick ports. But one of the things that I saw this video with this guy who was demoing some pre-release version of it, but they had these tube preamps basically. And so they were using it. Now, the board itself, which is pretty cool, it supports, it can be configured for NTSC or PAL or with Kawari. But these tube preamps are very, very expensive. They're about $500 US. The board is about $250. But anyway, it just it seemed to be a pretty cool project. And then the other thing that I thought was
just quickly, Pat, Retro Recipes did a build up of that on a video they just released recently too.
Okay, yeah.
Took you
And
right
then to
through.
update the firmware, you got to connect it to your Mega 65, and then you got to get Discord.
Well, so the thing,
And then go and pray to the gods. And
the philosophy around this thing though is it's not an FPGA based system, and it's not. So it's a modern build up of a Commodore 64, but they've tried to do as many interesting enhancements to it without actually going and throwing in an FPGA in there somewhere. So it's pretty cool.
Bit of a slant on, the sound's going to sound nice and warm because it's got tubes, I guess, is it?
Yeah. So,
64.
and these are optional. You don't have to install them, but it's.
Well, you got to do what I did. You got to grab some old IBM valves from a mainframe, and they use triodes, and I've connected one of those up to a little triode preamp, so then you can have an IBM mainframe preamp triodes running your SID output of your SID chips. So. You
could do that. They've got this version. I don't quite understand it, but they've got this flat thing that is a tube preamp, and then they actually have one with proper vacuum tubes. And
those they're like a VFD on like your old VCRs, but the VFD is basically a tube, so they're using those as a tube.
Right.
But they're making them new. I've seen them before. It's a bit
Because the
Interesting.
SID chip doesn't distort enough already. Like,
Dual distortion. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing that I thought was pretty cool was my brother-in-law posted this thing. I'll leave the sound off, but I don't know whether that's coming across. But this guy's built this Mario Kart thing. The hydraulic lift is kind of interesting, but there's an actual physical Mario Kart going around the tracks. Just if you wait for the video a little bit, hopefully it's coming across okay. There's actually like a can you see that with the actual anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. That was
I've got one of those. Have you not the sit-in one, but they're really cool. The little Mario Kart mini ones. You can run them around your house. It's got to be in Bluetooth range, but you
It
see
was for the Switch, wasn't it?
Yeah. They're great. They are amazing. They're going to be useless in 5 years' time when they delete the server that does all the processing. But neat little gadget, neat. But I haven't seen the seat that you can ride in and virtually drive through your own house or your warehouse in that instance. Neat.
Pat, could you put up the video link for that one?
Oh yeah, I'll find the link. Yep. Give me a sec.
Cool. Is that it, Pat?
Yep, that's it.
Awesome. Michael, you're up.
thanks, Anthony. I was trying to figure out if I'd done anything, and I actually have done a bunch. So I'll go rapid fire. If there are any questions, please interrupt. I recently spent a very large pile of Australian pesos on a 68030 accelerator for my Amiga 2000 from the States. I wanted one that went into the card slot, which means I'm some sort of train spotter. I mean, I've got accelerators that can go underneath the 68000, but the Amiga 2000's got an accelerator card slot, which replicates all the same pins as the 68000 has. And I wanted the card to go in the slot, right? So that's really exciting. That hasn't arrived yet. They're big. This fellow here, which you can't see because it's in the bag, is a 68020 version of it, which only runs at but they're a beautiful thing. That's pretty exciting. Anthony, your talk of Beachhead reminded me of that game on the Commodore 64. I never got to play it. My father saw me first load it up, and I think somewhere near the start of the game you have to shoot down people in parachutes, and he said something.
That might be Beachhead too.
Oh, right. He said something which at the time.
Yeah, not in Beachhead 1, but in Beachhead 2, I think so, yes.
Right. He said something cross and disappointed about the Geneva Convention, and I was never allowed to play it again. And at the time, I didn't understand exactly what he was saying, but he was bloody right. He also claimed to have invented the question mark. No. So, another thing I've done recently is I bought these fellows. It's not candles. They're Avery LaserJet labels, 18 per sheet. So 62 by 42 millimeters. And watch this segue, seamless. What I did was I printed labels for floppy disks.
Oh.
Yes. I've got the old original.
Just stop. Can you please show me the Avery label back again?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just need the answer. Why do people need labels for their candles?
Because they're probably trying to sell them, I suppose. Honestly, the first time I went to Officeworks, my daughter was pestering me about something, and I looked at these and went, I don't need those. I'm not trying to sell candles, and didn't buy them.
Oh my goodness, that is bizarre for your candle printing needs.
Yeah, ridiculous. But the labels are beautiful.
Isn't that a good way to burn the house down when the candle
burns,
burns?
the
Paper burns? Yeah.
This is crazy. Okay.
Right now, there's a candle collectors forum call going on. Can't believe the truckers are using these labels to put on floppy disks. So
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Unlike the old school ones, which I do have some of, they don't roll over the edge of the
Yeah.
disc and remind you that the open hole means ride protected, but we don't need that, right? We're past that. But they don't unfold and get caught in your drive. Oh, see, that's the stuff. Beautiful. But you know how sometimes they can sort of unfold?
Yep.
These always gave a really nice latching action. And these discs, as you can see, are Turrican 2 AGA. Some genius recently took the PC version of Turrican 2 and hand ported it to Amiga to run on the AGA chipset from the Amiga 1200 and 4000. And it is luminous. If you have an Amiga with an AGA chipset and you wonder what to play on it, it's free because I think it's still licensing stuff. Only recently released the AGA port of Turrican 2 is a treat. Is a treat indeed. It's. I mean, I'm playing it through an Indivision on an LCD because that's how this computer that I've got with AGA is set up. It's beautiful, and I'm super impressed, and it's all brand new. There was talk of posters. I think, Anthony, you had a poster, and it reminded me I have a poster off to my left.
I know, I see it. I was going to ask you the question, have you had that scanned?
No, but I have. Maybe I should.
Because I don't have that one. I have. So I'm glad you brought this up because I saw that when you started recording, and I thought that's the only one I haven't got. So I've got one. I've got two for the pets that I need to take to Officeworks and get scanned. That one that's on my wall, I've already put on archive.org, and you can print it out now. It's only a 1 gigabyte raw image. Please don't try to display it in a browser. It's going to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. I haven't got that one. Can you tell me, are they all Amigas?
No, there's the C64C, the 128D, the PC5, PC10, PC20, PC40, the 500, the 1000, and the 2000.
That's cool.
Someone else has come by my workshop here and gone, haven't seen that, and I gave them a copy. I've got a few of them, so I should probably they're original, and there's stuff on the other side, of course.
I would take that to Officeworks, pay the $2, and get them to scan it.
Honestly, it never occurred to me that you could buy that as a service. But
so it's $2, Officeworks. You can scan it, get them to do as a JPEG, and do it as a raw image, and then people can do what they want with it.
Okay, I should do that. Although I think I won't say who I gave it to, but I think he was going to scan it as well. But yeah, I'll check.
Because then I'll go to Officeworks and get that printed for probably a bit more than $2.
Yeah, although not a whole lot more.
Yeah, maybe.
There's actually, speaking of printouts, Snapfish will often take the bait as well.
Cool.
So that's pretty good. I got this the other day. Anyone with an Amiga, I'm a bit of Commodore guy. Yeah.
Can't tell.
Yeah, not half. There's a mob in Europe called Centurion Tech, and they laser cut these backplates for the Amiga 500 out of quite heavy grade stainless.
Oh wow!
It means you can throw the RF shielding away, which constricts airflow, and honestly, even with all the best intentions, can often create shorts. But it's just a bit how you doing. And the reason I was so keen for one of these is I have this floppy emulator thing.
Yep.
So it has a bit of leverage on it. I've got an Amiga 500 set up as a real sort of floppy disk games banger. It doesn't have a hard drive. It doesn't have an accelerator. It's got plenty of chip RAM, plenty of fast RAM, and a GoTech. And you have to put up with all the demos and cracks and all the other nonsense. And it's all good fun. It's all very olden days. I've got notes. See, I also pulled a carton of 2012 Cab Save out from underneath the house, and I've drunk too much of it. It is. Oh,
what is going on with you, Michael?
He's on to his third bottle.
Yeah.
Don't spill it on the poster.
lucky last, I've recently been using my Amiga 1200 to connect to a bulletin board on the web,
Nice.
which has been really good fun. I know the gentleman that runs it. It's called The Dungeon. It's all good. And I use this fellow. It's a PCM CIA. Is that the nomenclature? I think this is either 16-bit, not 32-bit, or it's 32-bit and not 64-bit. You can't use them all. You need to find one that's pretty old. But it does work. It does work really well indeed.
So for the uninitiated, that D-Link card you got, did you have to get a special driver for your Amiga 1200? Does it know what it is straight away?
The Amiga knows nothing, natively knows nothing about the and indeed I'm not super qualified, but the stack, the TCP/IP stack, it knows nothing. So the way I'm running it is I have to have a file in my devices drawer, which is picked up by software called Miami, and it configures. And while Miami's running, I'm notionally online. I've always struggled to get newer revisions of the TLS, transmission layer security, working and stuff. So I've had trouble accessing modern websites, but it's really good for Telnet. It's really good for AmiNet, which is the online repository of Amiga software. And the other thing that I find it really good for is I have an FTP share running on my network attached storage, and it's just a great way to get stuff to and from the to and from the 1200. In fact, that's mostly what it's used for. And like the 486 running Windows 2000, although it's a 10 megabit card, I don't see that.
Do you recall the name of the driver? Is it just a standard? So the reason why I'm asking is when I had a PCM CIA network card for my shitty 486-25 with black and white screen, getting a useful PCM CIA driver for my Ethernet card was a nightmare. And
no, it's not. No, it's not. It's not. I'm near to certain the device driver throws over to the Miami software. So on Amiga is a lot more, like, I understand Unix and stuff works, and you don't have those sort of massive closed source executable driver type things you often see on a PC. There's just a devs drawer, and there are some files in there that can sort of point in the right direction and do not a whole lot more than that. That's how I understand it. I'm not an IT guy.
Michael,
but it's pretty generic.
Sorry. Have you played with the Roadshow TCP stack?
I can't recall. I set the Miami up about 6 or 8 years ago and hadn't used this much. I've got young kids of an age that interfered with my vintage hobbies for a very long time. And I haven't. I don't think I have tried Roadshow. There was it Roadshow that's still licensed? I have to buy it.
Yeah, you can buy it. Otherwise, it works for 30 minutes and then it stops.
That's just like my Morpho S box. Maybe I should give it a shot. I should give it a go. Although Miami is, I think my Miami's only shareware or something too, but it works, and so I've been loath to fiddle with it.
Oh, fair enough. I might actually have a look at it.
Yeah, Miami DX, I think it's called. I've got to set up this fellow. This will be a whole new project because it does have some specific software. This is a real piece of work. It's a Realtek, I think it is, network card on a Zorro card that
is that a Novell Ready sticker on that chip?
Yep. So upside down this thing.
Because I bet you're very interested in running Novell NetWare at home.
Without
The
Novell,
Realtek cards were Novell certified.
I haven't used Novell since I was a graduate lawyer. and I can't tell you how uninterested I am in ever seeing it again.
Oh,
That was going to be one of my things. I was going to try and set up a Nobel network with my 486.
I gotta say, I've got plenty of good memories with NetWare 2.11 and a game called Snipes, where you could be a little smiley face and shoot arrows at your friends at school.
Yeah, that's like a PC 10 megabit PC Ethernet card that individual computers sort of attached to an interface that lets the Amiga Zorro bus talk to it. And it also includes a very basic IDE interface as well.
Cool.
So, which sounds somewhat useless because of how basic it is, but I do believe I can run a parallel ATA CD-ROM off it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, just given how hard SCSI ones are to find, you know, I've got an external SCSI one, but just to have an internal CD-ROM on an Amiga would be lovely.
Cool. Very good.
I think, I built this. I finished it. I think I showed it before. I 3D printed an enclosure for a GoTech drive and 3D printed the plug. And so now I have a external GoTech drive instead of some hack job with a ribbon cable. As useful as they are, it sort of has a whole kind of thing going on.
So you bought a 3D printer too?
Well, it's the 21st century.
Now, I bet no one's got a hack job as good as the thing sitting on my desk at the moment. It's not vintage, but I had a couple of laptops given to me, and I don't have a charger for the square Lenovo plug, but I have a round one.
Oh,
That looks
like
terrible.
full of stars.
I have made a rather janky adapter with some wires and some bent bits of metal and electrical tape that fits into the square plug just to see if the laptop actually worked. It does. So now I will invest in a charger for it because the battery was dead flat and I had no idea if it powered up or whether the screen worked or anything. And how am I going to power this up? I don't know anyone with a square Lenovo charger.
So it worked until you bumped it and sorted it out, you mean? Yeah.
No. I haven't moved it. Very careful not to maneuver it. It is actually charged at the moment. The light has gone green now, so the battery's fully charged.
Nice job.
And it does
Nice.
power up. But it took me a while to work out what the pinout was because I decided I wasn't going to Google. I just looked at it and went, oh, yeah, the center pin will be probably positive and the outer sheath of the thing will be negative. No. The center pin tells the laptop how many watts the charger is, whether it's a 65 or a 90 watt charger. The outer sheath of the round section is the negative and the inner edge of the round section is positive. And it's the same on the square one. So some very careful fabrication of a couple of bent bits of metal and some electrical tape allowed me to get positive and negative connected. And then a piece of network cable works for the center conductor.
Gorgeous.
And it charged and powered up. But that's probably about the jankiest thing that I think I've ever done.
Well done for getting it to charge. That's impressive. Because normally I would buy the adapter and regret it because the work.
Well, that was my thought. Was I could buy an adapter, but then if it doesn't work, I've got an adapter that fits nothing else that I own.
Yeah, the adapter might cost you more than what it costs for you to get the laptop.
That's right. The laptop was free. Someone gave it to me, so I thought, well, I got nothing to lose if I blow it up.
Cool.
Not that it's a brilliant laptop.
Except a big lithium-ion battery fire at the back there.
Yeah, I was a bit worried about that, but it seems to have charged happily and gone green. So it seems to be happy. And yes, it's it wasn't quite as fast as I thought it was going to be. Looking at it, I went, oh, this is a relatively new laptop. This will be better than my my Core 2 Duo laptop that I use in the back of the car for work. But I don't think it's probably much better, seeing that it's a Celeron N2600 or something.
So you can install Windows 2000 on it.
Probably not. I don't think the drivers for 2000. I think it's too new. It came with Windows 8.1. Ugh.
Yeah, well, here's the challenge.
Yuck.
I should say too, Anthony, I did buy a 3D printer, but I swam against the flow and got an Ender 3. I don't think anyone else has one of them.
I don't even have a 3D printer.
Everyone.
I don't want to sound awful, but I've got so much stuff and so many hobbies it's just another thing that it's just like, I'm going to get into that. It's like, I'm more than happy to pay my friends to make things if I ever need one, because geez, how many things do I need?
No, it's an Ender 3, which is as common as dirt, so there's plenty of support. It's pretty easy to get set up and running. I didn't want a 3D printing hobby. I just wanted some damn parts, including air blend actuator arms for my 23-year-old Saab, which I can 3D print, but which are difficult to manufacture. But it just mostly you just turned on and it prints. And
that's great.
My kids are about to start high school too, so they'll have them at school, and I want to do stuff at home.
That's cool. One day, just not yet.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I'm done. More than done. Thank you very much for the platform, Anthony.
You're most welcome. Adrian.
Hello. How's it going?
Good. No camera today, Adrian.
Well, I can put it on. I just I'm looking a bit wrecked. Hang on. There we go. Hello. Let me put it on the side. It might make it a little bit easier. So yeah, I've been up to a lot of stuff since I think we last spoke. I quickly went on a jaunt to the US to pick up a bunch of stuff that I had bought, and spent some time with Mark.
I saw that on Facebook. That was great.
Yeah, so
you have Christmas with him, or was
yeah, we did Thanksgiving, so that was my first ever Thanksgiving. Did a couple of those, worked out a treat. Except I was flying over to the US to pick up a bunch of Apple II stuff that I bought. I bought a Bell & Howell in 2017, along with a J Plus, if anyone's familiar, like two very rare machines, and a Next Cube.
Wow,
and
cool.
Like I went over there in 2017 and got a couple of other items off the guy. And then when I went over in 2018, he wasn't available. He's like a film producer. And then 2019, I was there again, and I'm like, dude, I really need to pick up this stuff. And he's like, I'm in Canada, blah, blah, blah. I can't get it to you. So contacted him about 6 weeks ago. He's like, look, I'm really happy you're coming to pick this stuff up. And I'm like, look, I'm specifically coming over there to pick it up. Anyway, he went to the storage shed and it had been ransacked and it was all stolen. So he's given me my money back, but I'm pretty upset because J Pluses and Next Cubes and Bell & Howells don't grow on trees. So
that's a terrible story.
Yeah. So, but the US was fun. I went over, hung out with Mark for, I think it was 7 or 8 days. It was a very quick trip. I only booked it like 5 days before I went over. Yeah, I'd been fixing up a couple leases for Mark, and I'd sent him all the parts over the last kind of 12 months, and he was just having all these troubles getting it working. If anyone's worked on a Lisa, the ROM combinations and the part combinations, and they just, look, they're absolutely rock solid once you get them going, but to get them going can be a bit of a pain. So I flew over to work out what on earth had gone wrong, and it was just they needed some adjustments, and then we just kind of fiddled around with profiles and stuff for a couple of days and got it all happening. And then I had been, what else have I been doing? It's been a while. Did the October Retro Challenge and got my Apple Network Server 300 prototypes going, which was fun, but wasn't that great because the power supplies in them, they were both like early run power supplies, and they use the same as the 9600 power supply, but the serial numbers were in the first 200 serial numbers ever made, and both power supplies ended up blowing out the logic boards in these Apple Network servers. The 12-volt rails, just every 10 talon capacitor just went up in smoke, uniformly, and I still don't know what the hell happened, but yeah, got to work on that. Restored a couple like LCs and SEs at the ACMS, and then been working on this Lisa 40th birthday, which is this week coming. So if anyone doesn't know, the Apple Lisa turns 40 on the 19th of January, so 20th in Australia.
I didn't know that. Thank you very much.
the Australian Computer Museum is we've got the original MD of Apple Australia, David Strong, coming in. Madeline McAndrews, who runs the Apple Lisa group online and is a Australian user that used them back in the day. Myself coming in, and Sean McNamara doing a desktop publishing thing. So that's on Saturday. We've got nearly 40 people coming along to that, which is going to be great. And yeah, it's just kind of putting that all together now and getting my Lisa stuff kind of ready and prepared to kind of take on down, because if anyone owns a Lisa, they're not exactly the easiest to carry around.
So portable.
Yeah, so portable, like so portable to the fact that one of Apple's original marketing videos has this guy at AT&T carrying one into and out of the office as his work computer, his portable work computer, like it's nothing. And it's like, mate, you'd be having to hit the gym for a couple of months before you'd be able to do it as easily as this guy does in the video, especially being an older gentleman. But yeah, look, it's going to be a lot of fun, and you should jump on and check it out, because it should be a very interesting thing. And we're hoping to have a couple of other various people there from various things. So yeah, it should be fun. And I don't know what else I've been up to. Just, I've working on my own museum, which is taking a while, and just been working on the library and stuff, moving stuff around. I haven't really been buying much. Like someone else said, I think it was Stuart maybe, I kind of have realized that I've just got everything I could possibly need. And I'm just picking up little bits and pieces here and there. Not really, I'm definitely not trawling eBay like I was over the last couple of years. And so, just trying to kind of enjoy what I have really, and just working a lot heavier on my museum and the ACMS, just getting things going there, because the ACMS is just the sheer amount of goodies. You can't move around there without stumbling into something that's super important, super rare, super cool. And then you kind of want to get into it and try and work out what it is, what it does. And it's just, it's ever consuming. So still working on that.
It's good. When did you say Lisa's 40th birthday was?
So officially it's this Thursday / Friday in Australia, but we've got the event on Saturday morning, 11 till 4. We're doing a video stream of it. First time we're going to do like a professional video stream this time. We've bought an Atom Mini Pro to kind of try and get things looking a little bit nicer. And so it's going to be a big one. And look, it is one of the most important computers of our generation, that's for sure. It really was the first kind of GUI that was accessible to a lot of people, because obviously the Star and the Alto existed beforehand, and there was other things, but they weren't commercially successful. Not to say the Lisa wasn't, but the Lisa was successful enough to generate the interest, obviously, of Microsoft to copy the windowing system. And then the Mac kind of came in and just blew everything out of the water.
I think Gem came out before Windows, didn't it? Huh?
I have no idea.
I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure Gem came out before Windows. So
yeah, I know that there's a couple of other products that came out that were GUIs beforehand, but realistically, it's I think that the Lisa really brought in some technologies that we just can't work without today. And I'll be talking about that next Saturday. I don't want to give too much away, but when I first got my Lisa in 2007 and I got it running, I was just flabbergasted how, even at that time, a machine that was 24 years old, how it had a whole bunch of features that didn't come into general computing until like 2000s.
Yeah, I agree. Like the soft shutdown feature on a Lisa. When I first saw it,
the fact that they could fade a screen out on a CRT is something that I don't think any computer with a CRT other than Lisa actually did. The Mac definitely didn't. The amount of circuitry that they had to have put in to actually fade out the voltage to the CRT so that you actually get this fading effect that's not just kind of like a haze over the screen. It's just insane.
So for those who don't know, and I'm sorry for interrupting, Adrian, but
No.
Elisa has got an ATX style power supplies. And the reason why I say that is it's always on and has a soft power switch. So when you turn it on and it powers up, it can turn itself off by using software. And we're talking about a machine that was released in 1983. I didn't say two.
Yeah.
1983. And you're like, this technology on a PC wasn't seen until 1994, maybe 1995. Yep. So when did ATX power supplies come out? So we're talking.
Well, and they didn't become popular until like 97 or 97. Yeah.
Yeah. So
97, 98. ATX wasn't.
So 83. That's a big gap. And like, you can say a lot of things about Lisa. She was expensive, but she was innovative. Wow, there's some features in that thing.
Oh, well, that's the thing. So like a lot of those innovations, didn't make it into Mac OS. Like, once again, I don't want to give too much away, but there's stuff that came into Mac OS from the Lisa OS as late as 2005. So, you've got to go back over this stuff. And this is why I get interested in the museum and the technology and actually going over it myself. Because I'm fairly technical, but I'm definitely not a techie to the extreme. But when you go back over this stuff and you look at what was achieved in some periods of time and just the weird ideas we had of how to use tech and how to use random stuff that we had lying around to make things happen, whether it be, cassette tape drives linked to products or just some of the weird stuff that we had. Like I always love talking about the scanner attachment for the image writers made by that company. What were they called? Basically, you replace the dot matrix print cartridge. Yes, Thunderscan. So you replace the dot matrix, the ink cartridge or the ribbon in your image writer 1 or 2, and it turns it into a scanner, because scanners were expensive. And I just think it's just weird technology like that used to be really just everywhere. And we've kind of lost that way now because we can kind of generate anything on a dime. And speaking of, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but you guys may or may have not seen a Kickstarter recently for a company called Juicy Crumb. So Juicy Crumb is actually a company started by me and 2 other guys at my office. The whole thing is that you can rip out your logic board out of your old Mac. We've got one product that's almost about to be shipped, which is the replacement logic board for a 2011 27-inch iMac. So basically, you rip out your old logic board, you drop in our replacement logic board, and it turns it into a docking station via a mini display port and USB-C, so that you can actually turn your old 2K iMac into either just a flat-out external display with audio, or you can actually run the optical drive, SD card, camera, infrared, all of it over USB as well on some of the premium models. And then our big model is one where you can actually drop in a Mac Mini's logic board into a 3D printed chassis in place of your hard drive and have a complete M1 Mac Mini in your 27-inch iMac. And so that's nearly ready to ship. And then we've got another product coming for the iMac G4. We're doing one for the iMac G4 next, just because it's an easier product to do. And that should be coming out in the next 3 to 6 months. So if you've got an old iMac G4, look, people love them. They look cool, but they're essentially fairly useless at this point in time, especially if you've got a dud logic board. And so we're doing a replacement drop-in board for those. And the best thing is you don't need any additional stuff. It uses the original fans, power supply, speakers, backlight boards, all the cabling. You just change out the board and that's it. So it's going to be a pretty cool little product. And I'm really excited for that because we got some decent Kickstarter funding going for it, and nearly ready to ship.
Awesome. That's great news, Adrian. By any chance, did you hear from Mark about how the Apple IIc keyboard is going?
No, I haven't. I know that it's. I think realistically at the moment, he's got a Lisa coming up for sale that's been on the Lisa groups for a couple of weeks. And realistically, I think once we clear that out of the way, there'll be more money and more time for those other projects, because I know the keyboards and China and manufacturing at the moment is really sticky because of the COVID situation there. So I'd say that hasn't been helping. Plus, I know he's been working on it with Javier for a while. So I'll see if I can get you an update and drop you a line.
Yeah, cool. No worries. Thanks, Adrian. Anything else?
No, I'm all good. Happy New Year, by the way.
Thanks, Adrian. Nigel, tell us what you've been doing.
You just got me when the rain started. It's tropical weather up here at the moment. So yeah, I've got the monsoon coming in. Yeah, mostly I've just been selling lately. I sold a few Amigas, clearing out stuff. I've come to realize that like everyone else, I can't keep everything. Having 40 Amigas was getting a bit excessive anyway. But so I've sold my last Amiga 600. I actually sold my Amiga 4000. I think I mentioned that the last time I was here. I actually got a random score of Amiga 500 at the tip. I was at the council and going past the e-waste bin, as you do, and did a sneaky look in, and as I'm throwing some old amplifiers in there and tucked under my arm and walked back to the ute, and it goes in and take another couple over. So I picked that up, tested that. It's just the memory expansion, and that was stopping that from booting. So I took that out, and that's sold on already as well. Mostly just been doing that and audio. I fixed my Tandy 1000 HX the other week, actually. That had been on the shelf for a year. I picked that up and tested it, and the power supply failed immediately. So I put that back on the shelf, and turns out it was just one shorted cap on the 12-volt rail on the PSU, 1000 16-volt, 1000 nanofarad. So change that over, and away she's going. So next thing's going to be a 3-in-1 card for that at some point. And what else has been happening? I finally set up my electronics workstation again. So that was today's project, actually. Moved the new table in and have all that set up again, my oscilloscope and power supply and desoldering station, everything there. I picked up a Variac a while ago, and that's there as well. And a couple of isolation transformers. I think one's about a 5 amp, 4 or 5 amp, and the other's a 2.5 amp. Ooh. So that's for doing my audio stuff and CRT work and that as well. And that's about it, really. I haven't been doing a lot other than that, just trying to clear the excess of gear and try not to buy too much. Because I go down the tip and I picked up some DJ turntables for I picked up a whole trolley of gear for $50. So some old Siemens speakers. At first I thought they were like the 19-inch rack mount ones for your stereo CB radio and that, but they're actually these hi-fi ones that do from 40 hertz up to 25 kilohertz. So really really nice hi-fi. I've never seen them before, and probably one of the best pairs of speakers I've ever owned, and I've owned a hell of a lot of pairs of speakers. So so I'm trying not to acquire too much and trying to offload more, but it's sort of a struggle.
Yeah, it's a struggle.
I'm thinking of offloading some of my consoles and that. I hear there's a crazy fella that buys every in television that comes up or something. So
television?
I'm selling one. I've got it. Yeah, it's on the shelf.
Is it on eBay right now?
No, I haven't listed it. I was looking at it the other day, and I thought, I might have to mention that I was thinking of selling it to see see if there's someone who'd be interested in it. But,
Oh, potentially.
yeah.
Does it have a
I know-
box? If it has a box,
Yeah, it's in a box. Yeah. I can grab it if you want.
show me the box because I'll
Okay,
sell it to me right now. If it's in a box, it's sold. Oh my goodness! This
Why?
could be.
Why are you buying another?
I haven't got all the Intellivision boxes, so
Oh, really?
I'm just going to pivot up. Right? Hang on. So at the top of this shelf, I've got several Intellivision boxes, but not all of them. So let's just see what he's. Ooh.
This is so exciting.
Ooh. Show me the top. The top looks a bit ragged, but I think I might be able to cope with it.
It's not in great condition, the box, but
No, but this the front. Ooh.
Oh,
it's just that it's folded in. It's not falling apart.
All right. We need to
There's no
talk.
foam.
We need to talk.
Yeah, it's it's not in terrible shape either.
Yeah, look, I'll be honest with you. The Intellivision isn't the reason I'm buying it. It's the box.
Yeah, I've got some other.
Maybe you can sell the Intellivision to Greg.
Yeah,
in the
you just want
box
to sell me the
anyway.
box. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Then I've got the what are they? The Philips. Is it GS 74? What is it?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm going to sell them as well. I've
Is
got
it the Philips video pack?
Which ones is it? I got them just on the bottom shelf there too. I'll grab them. I'm going to sell
Yeah,
them.
yeah. Let's have a look because this could be the. I'm pretty sure this is the Odyssey.
Two.
Yeah, them. I've got there. The first one, what is it, 6400 and the 7400 or whatever it is. Yeah, I've got them. Just a second.
Yeah, I'm also interested. For curiosity's sake, because I've never actually played with an Odyssey 2. Have you played, Pat?
I don't know if you remember this. I actually have a complete Odyssey 2 collection, as in all the cards and. It's not
Maybe
a
I
huge-
shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't buy it.
it's not. It's not as nightmarish as the Intellivision, but it's but there are a couple of cards that are rare and expensive, but it's not as many as the Intellivision.
I like how he just drags this stuff in.
hang on, he's going back for another trip.
Yeah, one of them has a RAM issue, I think. Yeah, so is that fellow?
Yeah, look, if you want to do a deal with me, I think we could do it.
If you want to
That
put
might fit in the box.
if you want to put an Odyssey 2 inside an Intellivision box, you've
Yeah,
got
exactly.
a deal done.
How interesting. How interesting.
Yeah, one of them has a RAM fault. I can't remember if it's the 6.4 or the 7.4. Yeah. I think I've got software for them as well, cartridges and bits and pieces. But yeah.
Actually, I don't have all the Philips cards. I have all the Magnavox Odyssey ones.
Yeah, no,
Yeah. What else is
Nigel, I will sort you out.
Yeah, we'll chat later. Yeah, DM me
Give me a chat.
on Facebook. Yeah, not a problem. Yeah. So there's other gems in there that I'm I'm just gonna have to. I've got a
He's got a brand new sealed copy of Spiker, Pat. $5.
I've got a sealed copy of Archon on Atari 8-bit thing, but
Okay.
that's not for sale. Yeah, that's one of my gems.
I thought you were going to confirm something very rare. In which case, Pat and I were just like, not worth anything.
Yeah. So there's what else is there to go up? Other random bits and pieces there. I can't think of anything that's particularly rare that's going to come up for sale at the moment. Yeah, but that's what I was going to say. There's one of the second shipment of Rev 5, the Rev 5 Amiga 500. Yeah, in the box with the Chicken Lips keyboard, the high-tech keyboard. So that'll be coming up for sale as well. An Amiga 1000, that's going to go as well. Just, all sorts of, just get them out. That's a boxed one with all the foam inserts, original purchase receipt. It's slightly yellowed though, so. Just I got to get it going. Yeah, we'll talk about this anyway. So I'll move on to the next person.
There is
William,
there
sorry,
is no next person.
that's not the Johnny
Okay.
Castaway screensaver running there, is it?
Windows 2000 is crashing because of all the processing that is.
Yeah.
That's back in Windows 3.1 now.
Oh, okay.
Have you got multiple operating systems on that computer?
Yeah, it's multi-boot. So 622 with 3.1, 98 SE, and 2K. That's using used for that. I think a Cronus OS selector.
Oh, cool. Well, we are now completed with all the catch-up. So any other comments that we'd like to make?
Could I show off this? I forgot to bring it out before. I did acquire something recently, and it
What have you got?
fills me with joy. It's a Yamaha USB 2 and Firewire external CD-ROM drive with all of the features. Noted even crows about Mount Rainier support and the disc tattoo system where it can write images in the unused portion of the disc, and it's sort of like the NEC Plus Ultra version of the external CD-ROM, which will never be made again, right?
Wow. What is Mount Rainier support other than support for some mountain that is in North
It
America?
was a standard for the way data was written to disks that meant that they behaved properly in the way that we expect them to.
Fantastic. That's exactly what you want.
Yeah, it's just, it was $450 20 years ago. Like it was it's a beautiful piece of hardware, and I'm a bit of an optical disc aficionado.
Hey, Nigel, I see you showing fancy things. What is that?
It's his Animex.
Oh, you can go and burn that. Nobody wants that garbage.
Yeah, it's just some random stuff like that I got laying.
Yeah,
around.
like once you get the Animex consoles, it's like, yeah, come on.
Oh yeah, I got that for like $5 or something. I think it was something
I think
ridiculous.
Pat wants to pay $1,000 for it, so you sell it to him.
No, I don't know what I paid for that. That's something that I've randomly picked up over the years. But yeah, it's just I'm just going to clear the shelves. I've got so many projects that I'm not getting any younger like all the rest of us, and there's only so much time to work on this stuff.
Yeah.
Seeing that external CD drive there reminds me of when I got my first DVD writer back in whenever that was. I think I had a Pentium 3 computer at that stage, so it would have been the early 2000s. I had a guy I knew who brought a Pioneer A05 DVD writer to put in his computer, and then he comes to me and goes, "This won't work in my computer. I need to write CDs." I went, "Well, I can sort you out with that. Here is a CD writer."
Oh no.
He was very happy for me to install the CD writer and swap his A05 DVD writer for I think a Light-On 52-speed CD-ROM or CD writer.
You did pretty well.
I did very well out of that. He even gave me the box and everything and all the software that came with the Pioneer writer, and I just went out to the swap meet and brought a that weekend whizzed down there as quick as I could with my money to buy a CD writer to put in his computer for him. So I installed it and installed all the software and everything for him, and he was as happy as because he could copy CDs.
What an amazing time that was.
And I think he had something like I think it was like a Socket 7 Pentium 200 or 233 or something like that. Like, I mean, it had no hope of writing DVDs. Like, I mean, you probably couldn't even get a DVD image on the hard drive in it. But yeah, he tried to put it into the computer and couldn't get the software to load or work or something, and come over and went, "Here's the computer, here's the drive, this doesn't work. Can you get me a CD writer?" I went, "Yeah, I can quite happily get you a CD writer. What are you going to do with that?" "Oh, you can have it if you can get me a CD writer."
I think he had a 486 running Windows 98.
It could have been a 486 too. I don't know, but yeah, it was old. But
What's Nigel showing off now? Hang on. He's got something to show us. There's like a man on it. Is that a Spectrum?
It looks like a
Was that an Amstrad? What is that?
It's
It's a Spectrum too.
It says
Yeah.
police pack.
Police
Yeah.
RoboCop 3.
Oh, there we go. That's. Yeah.
You need to reverse your camera.
Oh,
You've got
okay.
to- You've got to.
Yeah,
change
yeah,
the
inverse it.
settings.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat. That is pretty neat. As much as I'm not interested in spectrums, there will be somebody who's really interested in that. Absolutely.
Amazing how much it looks similar to.
Yeah,
Amstrad,
Amstrad.
Yeah, well, this was one of the last ones that was actually designed. I think the B was the last one that was actually designed by them, by Spectrum, and then when they were bought out by Amstrad, they're still selling them as the B plus or something like that. Yeah, I can't remember the full story of when they switched over. We got. Can't remember how to. Oh, here we go. Horizontally flip. There we go. That's better.
Now all the text is around the right.
There you go. That's much easier to read.
Yeah. So try and.
But it's funny on that box, right? If you were going to buy that computer, what the heck brand is that? Where is the brand?
It's actually right,
The word
right there.
Oh my gosh, that is so terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty poor branding.
I reckon where's the model name, right? Like
it's actually like
right there, yeah.
Oh, that tiny little word there.
Plus two or whatever. Is that
Yeah, that's
so it's,
in that box. Does it come with RoboCop actually, or is that long gone?
I think I have the tapes. I'm not too sure if in the box, but I think I do have the tapes for it somewhere.
That's cool.
And I got the
Expansion module number 1.
Yeah, one of
That's
them.
the 2600 adapter, I think.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. So all of that sort of stuff that's going to go as well. You know, I'm never going to use it, so it's.
Any Coleco Adams there?
No, unfortunately. Yeah. My brother probably has. My brother's got a bigger collection of consoles than I do, so yeah.
How come we don't hear from your brother?
He's got Asperger's, so he's not a very social sort of person. You know, he'll communicate in text and that sort of thing, but he's sort of So
cool.
he collects arcade machines and computers and bits and pieces. We threw out, probably 3,000 odd cartridges over the years. We had, that much stuff. It was unreal. Yeah.
I remember that for throwing stuff out that I now kick myself and go, I should have kept.
Yeah, I don't I saw a post in Buy Sell Swap about IBM JX keyboards. I don't know if you saw that in the last couple of days, Pat. This cat wants to eat my microphone. Someone posted that we need IBM JX keyboard. Haven't got one. I used to have 4 or 5 times the amount of JX stuff I have now.
Right.
And I threw it all out.
Threw it.
Because I had a shed so full of stuff that I got a giant steel skip and I filled it with computers. This is like 1999. Because I had I had 4 times the storage I had now. And I had to thin it out. And I just threw out IBM PS2s and so much stuff. And I'm just like, I'm an idiot.
Oh, we had the original proper chicken lips Commodore Amiga, the embossed 500. We had one of them, one of the first 1000s that came into Australia as well, and like pallets of Atari gear and that as well. Just people used to give us Atari, STs back in the day, so we had that many of them. It was unreal. And Mega Drive, the old CD things where they had like 8
CD
things. No, they'd have them in the shops, and they'd have all the original discs in the sleeves stacked up like that. Like when you buy CDs, they'd have them behind the counter sort of thing, and they'd go through and they'd pull out we'd had a from one of the shops that where they keep all the original things, which had full of cartridges. Just the whole thing was just full of game cartridges. So there was like 8,000 plus game cartridges, and all got dumped.
Yep, I've done the same crazy things. Like I boxes and boxes of ISA cards and early PCI cards, motherboards, 286, 386. I think I even had some XT motherboards. A whole lot went into a hard rubbish box one weekend when I was tidying up 10, 12 years ago. And now I look at it and go, I wanted one of those.
Yeah, we had 12 pallets of arcade machine motherboards.
No.
Far out.
Yeah, so you can imagine what they'd be worth nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the amount of stuff that we've probably collectively thrown out over the years is horrifying sometimes when I think about it.
Are the arcade machine motherboards worth a decent amount, are they?
Yep.
Right.
Oh, it's just some of the original ROM.
like non-bootleg PCBs are worth a bit, depending. I mean,
right.
it depends on which models, but yes.
Okay. No, I've got a mate that's got probably maybe 20 or 30 sets of them. And he was asking me yesterday what to do with them. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they're probably worth something decent.
Yeah.
So I might be getting onto that one now.
The one thing I'm kicking myself for getting rid of was my dual Pentium 3 Xeon motherboard that I had back when Pentium 3s were current, and I actually managed to score a dual. What was that slot? What do they call that, slot 2 for the Xeon ones? It was still like a slot processor, but yeah, I'm spewing I got rid of that because that was fantastic. I think I replaced that with like a single CPU because they're only 550s, like a dual 550s, and it would have been probably about the year 2000-ish. Because I'm pretty sure I had Windows 2000 running not to get dual CPU support. And I ended up buying a Pentium 3, like an 800 EB or something to replace it with. And then ages kicking myself going, why do I not keep the slower dual CPU machine? Because the Xeons had 1 meg cache at full speed. So like even at 550, they were almost as quick as the 800.
I've got a dual slot IBM, I think it's a Pentium 3 server. Yeah, sitting there just collecting dust.
Yeah, I've got a twin Xeon in the shed that worked throughout. I've also got a twin Pentium Pro board sitting in the shed in a case. But I bought that lot from a disk duplication business. This is where I've got regrets. So they used to make disks for, I think it's LaserBot or one of these software distribution houses that are long gone. They used to have it was called the Pirate, and it would have like a stack of disk drives. It would just sit there and spit out disk. I threw that out.
Was it ID or SCSI though?
I don't recall, but that was in that skip of Macs and stuff, PS2 that I threw out.
I've scrapped a pile of them over the years, like, I don't know, but at least a dozen of them I think I've pulled apart over the years.
Machines?
Sorry? Duplicating machines, yeah. I've DVD duplicating towers and all that sort of stuff. I had a mate of mine, he used to have a PC shop and he'd get a lot of stuff from like the banks and that randomly. So I'd get a lot of bank servers and all that sort of gear just given to me. So yeah, weird hardware.
Yeah, I sort of wish I still had one of my servers. I used to have a dual P Pro 200 DEC digital double width. So, it was like a double wide tower, and you had the 7 plastic cased hot swap SCSI drives on one side and then the computer on the other side. And I ended up selling that to a mate of mine, and we ended up gutting the computer part out of it and upgrading it with something else, and still so he could keep the drives for his storage. And yeah, like Pentium Pro now, I'd like to have that machine back again.
Yeah,
but
let's stop talking about war stories because that's too depressing. Yeah, so we've thrown a lot of stuff collectively.
Mac accelerator cards. We threw out so many Mac accelerator cards that they're worth, some of them are worth well over $1,000 nowadays. It's like, okay, wow.
Don't worry. Speaking of things that we gave away, many years ago I had to move house, and I had brought a relatively cheap at the time, a HT Premier sedan, 186 Power Glide, interior wasn't too bad. Body needed a little bit of rust repair around the rear window and stuff, which I'd sort of started working on. Then I had to move house and had no time to finish it and couldn't be bothered moving it. So a bloke I was working with, I said, "Oh, you want a project car?" It's one of the apprentices. I said, "Here, just come take it. just take it for free. Here's the motor, here's the transmission, here's the body, just take it." And of course, now I look back at myself and kick myself because, you know, the car now's worth. And that was only in 2004.
What is it? What
You
do
could have always sold it to Ian Maverick for $50. So
Yep, you could have. Ian would have paid you $50. Yeah. Now I got to say, so many things that we look back at, we think this, like, this is no joke. When I threw that stuff away, I had made the call that PCs will never be collectible because they're going to be so common. They're not going to be collectible. But now 286s and 386s and now 486s and probably soon Pentiums are hard to come.
I basically tell people that anything below a Pentium 3 is collectible because that was the era where it went from just being computers were just a niche sort of thing, you know, businesses had them and geeks had them, to being, you know, the Pentium 4s, you know, they're everywhere. You know, every man and his dog had a computer by that stage, you know. So,
but
yeah.
but there's a point here. The fact that we go, oh, all this stuff is junk after that, then everyone starts throwing it out. Then everyone goes, oh, I'd love a Pentium 4. And then they're like, oh, hang on a second. Everyone threw them in the bin. That's when they become rare again. So it's these kind of stories that are why we've got such scarcity on some of this stuff. And the other stuff was just because it was scarce in the first place.
Well, I've got a pile of 30 pizza boxes or something, all with PC motherboards just stacked in them. All the batteries removed, all the II shields stuck to they're all there. So one day, you know, oh, well, I'll want to build a system and, you know, they'll be there. That, you know, I've got something like 40 different AGP graphics cards. So, you know, I need something to do with them.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. Well, is there any final comments from anyone before we wrap this up?
I was going to say one thing that I forgot to mention. My brother did the right thing this year by me for Christmas. I opened this box. He bought me a Lego Atari 2600, which I didn't even know existed.
They're cool, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm like, do I crack it open and do I build it, or do I just leave it in the box? And right now, I'm just going to leave it in the box for a while.
Oh, you could build it.
I know. I look, I want to, but time is pressed, and I'm like, oh, it's just, you know, it's such a beautiful thing, though. It's I think it's pretty cool that they made it.
It is cool. It's very cool. And this is to be the third time I've mentioned it. But if anyone who's got a Switch or a PS4 or 5, and you haven't bought the Atari, is it?
Atari 50?
The Atari 50 thing, it's worth buying.
It is. I bought it at Christmas after our last discussion, and it is mint. It's really good.
So what is it?
So they've got a 50th anniversary cartridge / download / DVD / whatever console you bought it for. I bought it for Switch, so you get the little cartridge. It's amazing. So not only do you get videos and footage and interviews from the original Atari people, you get all the original games, new versions of the original games. It's worth every penny. I paid maybe $50 or $60 for my Switch version. It's worth every penny. It's hours of entertainment. It's worth it.
It's beautiful. I'm not even really into Atari, and I love it. And the way that the emulators reproduce the vector games is stunning. They're beautiful.
Yes, I recommend it.
That's the one thing I've been mucking around with lately is emulation. I've been emulating arcade stuff. I've built myself a little MAME machine. And my thing at the moment is trying to work out how to get MAME to switch the resolution on my monitor so that it matches the native resolution of the game. So that's been a little bit fun, because obviously I can create the custom resolutions in the NVIDIA control panel to get the thing down to like 320 by 240 and that sort of stuff. But yeah, just trying to get MAME to play nicely with Windows, and when I tell it to switch to that resolution, it does it, because Windows 10 has a tendency of wanting to keep deleting my custom resolutions or making them not accessible to me, even though they're there, which is a bit of a pain. So I might have to maybe try going back to a slightly earlier version of Windows to see if that'll solve the problem. But yeah,
Maybe on your 486 it'll work, eh?
no. I've tried emulating an Amstrad CPC on the 486, and it doesn't work very well.
I'm not surprised.
486 can't emulate a 4 megahertz Z80
I would recommend real hardware.
at any speed. No, that's why the Amstrads are over here. So I have the real hardware. But yeah, some of the games actually don't look too bad emulated once you've got the screen resolution matching the native resolution of the game. They actually don't look too bad and don't run too bad on MAME emulation, some of the arcade stuff. But yeah, just getting the thing to be able to switch from obviously the desktop resolution when you go to launch the game from the MAME console to get it to just punch the resolution over and switch it correctly. So that's something I've been sort of mucking around with, because the aim is to build a cabinet at some point. And then also try to have it so that I can have the CRT rotatable in the cabinet for your vertical games, so that they fill the CRT correctly.
I haven't had that challenge, but in terms of the resolution, I find that the Raspberry Pi iteration of Emulation Station, I think it is, works very well.
Okay.
So yeah, I haven't used a PC to do it, Emulation Station or.
Sort of looked at, because you can go for non-integer scaling, so you can just go for just straight pixel doubling, which for some of the games you have to, because you can't get a VGA monitor to go low enough in resolution where it'll actually sync and stay connected at any refresh rate. So usually most of the low resolution stuff I've got to basically double the refresh rate up to 120 hertz in order to do 320 by 240. And that'll sync up and that runs quite nicely. But yeah, anything that's lower than that, I can't get to. No matter what I do with the refresh rate, the monitor just won't sync to it. Nope. But using non-integer, so just pixel doubling seems to work okay on those lower resolutions.
It will do 3 by 25, but it has to be ASCII characters. Yeah, that's the issue with VGA, is it's got fixed resolutions.
Yeah. But no, apart from that, that's about it.
Cool.
Got anything else that I've been mucking around with?
So next time we catch up, I want to see Adrian's built Atari 2600. I want to see Michael have scanned his Meet the Commodore family sign at Officeworks for $2. And it'll be available on archive.org for everyone to print and duplicate. And actually, I'll put it on myself. I will grab my Commodore pet posters, which I've wanted to take to Officeworks and get scanned, and I should do that too by February as well. So is that a deal, Michael? I'll do my 2 pet ones I haven't done, and you can do your 1 Meet the Commodore family one. We'll go to Officeworks. We'll get that done. $2.
The guy I gave one to, I messaged him earlier on, and he said he was getting a whole batch of stuff done by someone. So, yep, I'm. If he doesn't do it, I will. But he's
that guy isn't named David, is it?
No.
Okay, all right.
I just don't know. I'm sure you all know him.
If it's David, I'm disappointed. But
no, it's not. It's not a guy called David.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, it's it's nice. Yeah, I know. Like you occasionally sell stuff to people and so on, and who you sold it to and for what price and stuff is not for me to share with.
Of course not.
Yeah, it's just maybe my professional background makes me excessively discreet, but.
Yeah, that's right. I wanted to mention while I was thinking of it. Anyone here who has a RAM bus system, the Intel 820 motherboards?
No.
And it has.
Wow, I forgot about RAM bus.
Yeah. Linus Tech Tips did a video about the original Xbox dev machines like 2 days ago or something. So expect the prices of them to go through the roof. So yeah, if anyone has one and wants to dig one out and get it on the market, that now's a good time to probably look at doing it, because there'll be all these young people wanting to build them. The
There was
sound cards
something-
are available too, so that's the main issue with them. So
there
yeah,
was something
something
always
for
been
people.
around with RAM bus based systems. And one of my mates has got one somewhere, but he can't find it at the moment. He keeps going to me. He goes, "I've got to dig out that RAM bus motherboard and the processors and everything so we can play around with them." I went, yeah, I'm curious to see how it compares to like SD RAM and DDR back in the early Pentium 4 days. But he, for some reason, now can't find what he's done with the motherboard.
It's no faster than DDR.
It's no
Yeah,
faster.
not really. It is on some things, but it's for the most part. Yeah, there weren't. Yeah, there's more trouble than it was worth by the end of it. More expensive, not really any faster, and also you have to buy 2 sticks at a time, or have a blanking one as
blanking,
well.
yeah.
And yeah, it's just, and all sorts of. There's a couple other issues there too that why they sort of lost out, but yeah, it is interesting that yeah, nice nice board actually. They're really stable.
Cool. All right. Anything else from anyone else before we finish up? Good. Well, I'll talk to you soon, Nigel, about our big sales.
Yeah, not a problem. Yeah. Just message me and we'll chat. And we might have an Amiga mouse ball I can slip into the box for you.
Or I can, yeah. Oh, that'd be great. And I can send you this. All right. Thanks, guys. I'll see everybody next month. I aim to have this thing happen. Let me just quickly look at a calendar so I don't disappoint anybody. So the second Sunday of the month is the 12th of February. That sounds like it'll work. So 12th of February will be the next time. So thanks everybody for coming, and let's try to do some more than we did this month. But Starling conversations and the other related conversations have also been interesting. So thank you very much for your time, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
Bye.
Yeah.